Hello and welcome back. Welcome back to another half-hour segment. In fact, miento, half hour, no, 25 minutes. This is a 25-minute segment of Vaughan and Vivo, which is one of the programs on Aprender Inglés TV, 24 hours a day of English, sin parar, non-stop, N-O-N-stop. Non-stop es sin parar, como un vuelo directo que no tiene escala. It's a non-stop flight. We don't say a direct flight. Usually we say non-stop. To fly from New York to Madrid is a non-stop flight. Now, you can fly from Madrid to Chicago, and it's a direct flight, but it's not non-stop. It stops in New York City. It stops in New York, but you don't change planes, and you continue. In that case, you say a direct flight. You don't change planes, pero con escala, all right? But non-stop is you don't stop. You don't go down. You stay in the air until you reach your destino final. ¿Cómo se dice, Monica, destino final?
Final destination.
Final destination. All right. This is Monica. Okay, this is Monica. Welcome back.
Thank you.
All right. This is her 4th or 5th program. I don't know. But I've decided, I'm not sure. I'm debating, debatiendo, aquí en el coco. I'm debating whether, aquí no digo if, porque voy a decir dos opciones. I'm debating whether to invite her back in the future or not. All right? I don't know. It's a dilemma. Her English is too good for my programs. However, the things she does, her activities, her work, it's very interesting to talk about. And we can produce dynamic exchanges, verbal exchanges with dynamic linguistics, which make it stimulating for you, interesting, but there's not much I can teach you with Monica, so you just pay attention to our exchange, el intercambio verbal. All right. But are you happy to be here again?
Yes, I am.
Are you happy to be? Happy to be? Happy to be? Repeat. Ask me if I'm happy to be here again.
Are you happy to be here again?
Yes, I am. I'm happy to be here again. I'm glad to be here. Ask me if I'm glad I became a teacher.
Are you glad you became a teacher?
Yes, I am. Ask me if I plan to be an English teacher in my next life.
Do you plan to be a teacher in your next life?
An English teacher?
An English teacher?
No, I don't plan to be an English teacher in my next life. Ask me what I'm going to be in my next life.
What are you going to be in your next life?
If I come back as a human being, I'm going to be a musical composer. I'm going to try to compose music. I compose music now, but amateur. But I realize probably I have the potential to compose well, but I don't have the technical, or I don't have enough technical grounding, fundamentos or cimientos técnicos, grounding, foundation, a technical foundation, a technical basis to do it right, okay? So, in my next life, are you going to be a telecommunications engineer in your next life?
Probably not.
Probably not. So if you had a second chance, if you were 18 years old now, would you choose telecommunications again?
Yes, I would.
But you say in your next life you won't. That doesn't make sense.
No, it does.
Why?
I want to be a telecommunication engineer once.
Con ese al final, por favor.
I want to be a telecommunications engineer once.
Good. Once. All right. So every life you have, you decide on something different. What were you in your last life?
I was a doctor.
A doctor? Medical doctor?
Yes.
Okay. A general practitioner or a specialist?
A specialist.
Hey. Many years ago, there weren't many specialists. What kind of specialist were you in your last life?
I was a surgeon.
Un sargento.
No, how do you say that? I did surgery.
Listen, sergeant, sar, is sargento.
Okay.
Sar, sergeant. Sir.
Surgeon.
¿Cómo se dice sí, señor?
Yes, sir.
Good. Yes, surgeon.
Yes, surgeon.
Very good. So, would you want to be a general surgeon or a neurosurgeon or what kind of surgeon?
I don't know.
Okay. Ask me if I remember any surgeons from the States.
Do you remember any surgeons from the States?
Well, I remember two. One who opened my foot one time to take out some nerves. But I remember one time I was working in a supermarket and I met it was strange. Ask me how old I was.
How old were you?
I was 16.
Okay.
Ask me what my job was in the supermarket.
What was your job in the supermarket?
My job, I was a stalker. Ask me what a stalker is.
What is a stalker?
A stalker is a person who goes between the aisles. Do you know what an aisle is?
Yes, I do.
Okay, what's an aisle?
Pasillo.
Los pasillos abiertos de los supermercados o del avión o del cine. They're aisles. Pasillo con paredes is a hall or a corridor or a hallway. For example, outside of this studio, there's a hall. Okay, the hall or corridor. I say hall. Some people say corridor. But cuando no hay paredes y es un pasillo, por ejemplo, de cine entre las butacas, it's aisle. Escrito aisle, pero aisle. When you go to the airport, if you're in an English-speaking airport, it's often the lady or the man says, an aisle seat or a window seat? Aisle seat or window seat? Pasillo o ventana? Aisle seat? Do you prefer an aisle seat or a window seat?
I prefer a window seat.
Really?
Yes, I do.
And then when you have to go to the bathroom, you need to climb over people.
Well, you can ask them to move.
So ask me if I prefer an aisle seat or a window seat.
Do you prefer an aisle seat or a window seat?
I prefer a window seat too. All right. I like to look out.
Yes,
Do you like
me
to
too.
look out?
Yes.
All right. Are you afraid of flying?
No, I'm not.
All right. And how old were you when you flew the first time?
5.
5. Where did you fly to?
To Mexico.
To Mexico? When you were 5 years old?
Yes.
Why did you go to Mexico?
Because my father was going to work there, so the whole family
went
to Mexico.
How many years did you live in Mexico?
For 2 years.
In Mexico City?
In Toluca.
Toluca. That's near Mexico City,
Yeah,
isn't
it
it?
is.
All right. What did your father do there?
He's a civil engineer. So he was
How do you say
working.
civil engineer in Spanish?
Ingeniero de caminos.
Very good. Canales y puertos.
Yes.
So your father was a civil engineer, and so he went on a specific assignment.
Yes.
All right, to build something.
Yes.
To build a big building or a civil work.
Bridges, probably.
Bridges.
I don't remember.
Okay. And is he retired now, or is he still working?
I don't know.
You don't know. Okay. And do you have many memories about Mexico?
Yes, I do. I don't know if they're from what they told me or from the pictures, or they're really memories.
But you were
Sure.
5, so you went
Yes.
to kindergarten and to the first primary
Grade,
school.
yeah.
All right. Do you remember your school?
Yes, I did. I
All
think
right. How many times have you been back to Mexico?
once. Only once.
How old were you when you went back?
I was 25.
Did you go to Toluca?
No, I didn't.
You didn't go back to find your old house?
No, I didn't.
All right. So where did you go the second time?
I went to Mexico City, to Oaxaca, and to the Pacific
All right.
coast.
Okay. Did you have a good time?
Yes, I did.
All right, good. Okay, so what were we talking about before? I forgot. We were talking about non-stop. Of course, this is 24 hours a day of English, non-stop. Non-stop, which means you have no excuse but to improve. You improve your English. If you don't improve, then you need to think about this, think about yourself for a bit, because if you simply watch my program or other programs on Aprende Inglés TV every day for 30 minutes perhaps, 1 hour if possible, 2 hours is even better, 3 hours even better, but you will notice that at the end of 1 year, your English will be a lot better, a fuerza de simplemente exposición, exponer el oído al idioma y la mente al idioma. You will notice improvement. Even if you don't study, you will notice improvement. And our job is to make it interesting, stimulating, so that you enjoy sitting down and watching. And having people like Monica, her English is very high, but her English level is very high. But we produce together stimulating conversation, which I think you can find interesting. She's a telecommunications engineer, and she told me that in her last life, in her previous life, she was a surgeon. ¿Cómo se dice cirujano?
Surgeon.
Surgeon. And I was telling her a story of when I was 16, and I was working in a supermarket, and I was a stalker, which means stocking the shelves. My job was to go among the aisles to check to make sure every section had enough products for the shoppers. Ask me if most of the shoppers were housewives.
Were most of the shoppers housewives?
Yes, they were. Te ha costado, eh?
Yes.
Repeat, please.
Were most of the shoppers housewives?
Were most of the shoppers housewives?
Were most of the shoppers housewives?
Claro, eran amas de casa la mayoría de las compradoras o compradores. Yes, most of the shoppers were housewives. At that time, it was quite different. It was a more traditional society, and most women were married and had kids and went shopping and didn't work, most of them. It's changed a lot now, but in any case, most of the shoppers were housewives. So I had to make sure that nothing was missing, because if a housewife wanted to buy a ceramic cup like this, and there were cups in the back, in the warehouse, in almacén, but not on the shelf, the supermarket lost a sale. And it was my fault. If there was references in the back. So I had to make sure that that was my job. And I remember talking about surgeons, okay? One time, I was stocking shelves next to the meat section, all right? Now, the meat section, normally the meat is in plastic, like now here in Spain. And so you don't usually talk to the butcher, el carnicero, the man. The butcher is working behind, in the back, preparing packages of meat. But you could push a button, and the butcher would come out. And you could ask the butcher a specific question or ask for a specific cut. So it was possible to get something a la carte. Do you understand? And I remember one man pushed the button, and I wasn't paying attention, but when he began to talk, I started listening. And the man said, listen, he said, I would like a special cut from that big piece of meat I see in your, but could I cut it myself? And the butcher said, well, you need to be very careful when you, I said, don't worry, I'll be very careful in cutting it, but I would like to cut it myself. And the butcher said, well, okay, come around behind the counter, detrás del mostrador. Come around behind the counter and here. And he went back, the butcher went back, got this big piece of meat and brought it and put it on the counter in la encimera and gave the man a big butcher's, it's not a knife, it's strange, okay? And he began to skillfully cut the meat perfectly. And the butcher was surprised. He said, my God, have you ever worked as a butcher? And the man said, no, I'm a surgeon. So that means he had a fine control of the cutting, all right? And you want to be a surgeon.
Yes.
But surgeons simply cut. They don't cure or heal, they simply cut.
Hopefully they do it.
Hopefully they do it well, of course, but all they are, voy a ganar enemigos aquí, but it's not true. I agree with you. Surgeons are critical. But some people could say they are just cutting and sewing. You understand?
Yes.
Cutting and sewing, and that's all right? But for me, if I were to become a doctor, ¿cómo se diría eso? Si yo fuera a hacerme médico, si me hiciera médico, vamos, para simplificar. If I became a doctor, if I were to become a doctor, I would be a researcher. Because then you can find cures for people in the future. And you can have a much stronger impact on a greater number of people. But in your case, you prefer to be a butcher.
No, you can be a
surgeon.
surgeon and do research.
As well. Yes. Okay, fine. All right, very good. Okay, well, let's continue with mastering the interrogative. We did it the other day, and we'll do it now. He's talking about the cost of the project.
What is he talking about?
Okay, what's he talking about? He's talking about the cost of the project. I work with Peter.
Who do you work with?
Who do you work with? I'm staying with an old friend of mine.
Who are you staying with?
Claro. ¿Cómo traducirías la frase? I'm staying with an old friend of mine.
¿Con quién te estás quedando?
No.
¿En casa de quién?
Estás alojándote. Temporalmente. Because if in English, if you say I'm living with Peter, es que vivo con Pedro. If I say I'm staying with Peter, means me está prestando una habitación y estoy temporalmente alojado ahí mientras encuentre un sitio fijo to stay. For example, if you tell me, that there's a fire in your house and you can't sleep there. And I said, well, you can stay in our place. Why don't you come over? I live near you. You can come over and stay at my place. All right? Do you trust me?
Yes, I do.
All right. You can come over and stay at my place. Se dice my place para mi casa, mucho. You were in the States for 6 months. Did you hear the expression my place?
Yes, of course.
A lot. You hear it more than my house.
Yes.
You hear it all the time. Why don't you come over to my place and we'll cook some spaghetti. All right. Do you know how to prepare spaghetti?
Yes, of course.
All right. Do you like spaghetti?
Yes, I do.
Do you make spaghetti at home?
Yes, I do.
What kind of spaghetti do you make?
Lots of kinds.
What's your favorite kind?
Vegetables.
With vegetables? Are you a vegetarian?
I'm not.
Okay. But when you have guests, what kind of spaghetti do you make?
I would make one with zucchini.
Zucchini?
Zucchini, onion.
Onions?
Garlic.
Garlic?
Tomato.
All right.
And nuts.
Nuts?
Mm-hmm.
What are nuts?
Nueces.
No.
Okay.
Nuts are frutos secos.
Okay.
Ask me how to say nueces in English.
How do you say nueces in English?
Walnuts.
Okay, walnuts.
Okay, the types of nuts is you have the almond, walnut, cashew nut, which I think is avellana. Cashew nut.
I don't think so.
How do you say avellanas in English?
I don't know.
Hold on. Walnut is nuez. Walnut. Now, nut has 3 meanings. Nut means un loco. He's a nut.
Nudo.
Okay? It means, no, that's a knot.
Okay.
Con K delante, eh? Okay. Ojo. Nudo is a knot.
Okay.
La K muda,
Okay.
knot. All right? So it's un loco, a nut.
Okay.
All right? Un pirao. Diría he's a nut. Number 2 is una tuerca. Yeah, tornillo y tuerca. A screw and a nut.
Okay.
All right? And the third is no todos los frutos secos, pero los frutos super secos. No, for example, los dátiles are not considered nuts. Okay. Or higos are not considered nuts, pero aquí se consideran frutos secos. Okay. Nuts are almonds, almendras. Peanuts, cacahuetes, aunque no deberían ser de la familia. They shouldn't be part of the family because it's underground. You see, it's a different type of food. Peanuts, hazelnuts, hazel, which could be avellanas, hazelnuts. Cashew nuts, which is anacardos. All right. Yes. And pistachio nuts, and I don't know what others. I'm forgetting one. Important. Pecans, okay, which are similar to walnuts. Okay. But in any case, do you like nuts?
Yes, I do.
All right. Okay. All right, let's continue. He's pointing at the broken window.
What is he pointing toward?
Oh. Okay. What am I doing?
You're pointing at me.
No, I'm pointing to you.
Oh, to me. Okay.
Okay. The camera. What am I doing?
You're pointing
to the camera.
To the camera.
Now what am I doing?
You're pointing at me?
Good.
Okay.
At es una preposición violenta.
Okay.
To es una preposición suave, neutral. Okay? I'm talking to you. I'm talking at you.
Okay.
Y lo uso mucho. When I open certain language programs for people, I say, I want you to talk at the Spanish people. Bap, bap, bap. Sí, una riada de inglés en su dirección para que se atragante un poco y aprenda a mantenerse a flote con el inglés, oyendo por todos los lados. El inglés, digo a los angloparlantes, I want you to talk at them.
Okay.
Okay, now, to point, I'm pointing to the microphone, I'm pointing to the water, I'm pointing to the book, I'm pointing to you. Pero si realmente extiendo el brazo y señalo, I'm pointing at. Okay. Señalar es más to point at. I'm looking at you porque la visión a veces quema el iris del ojo de otro. All right? When you look at them, okay, it's la mirada tiene fuerza. Okay? And so we say look at porque hay cierta, no es que tenga violencia, pero fuerza sí tiene. So we say look at. Okay? Now, for example, this book, if you ask me for the book.
Could you give me the book?
Sure, here. And I throw it to you. I throw it to you. Do you understand?
Yes.
Here, give it to me. I'm going to throw it to you. Ask me for the book.
Could you give me the book, please?
Sure, here. Okay. Can you give me the book, please?
Sure.
Okay, you give it to me, okay? I threw it to you. Now, if I get angry with you, I throw it at you.
Okay.
Okay? Do you understand?
Yes.
You didn't know this difference?
No, I didn't.
Okay, to throw at
Okay.
is con saña. All right, do you understand? To throw
Yes.
to is toma, toma. Es entregar, arrojándolo un poquito por el aire. All
Okay.
right? Throw at is lanzarlo con saña. Okay?
Okay.
Para herir. It's to throw at. Now, which hand am I pointing at you with?
Both.
Okay, you are pointing.
You're pointing
At
at
me.
me with both hands.
Good. Who am I pointing at now?
You're pointing at you now.
At yourself.
At yourself, okay.
I'm going to repeat. Which hand am I pointing at myself with?
You're pointing at yourself with both hands.
Good. All right, good. You see, some things, aquí sí, conmigo aprende algo. Huh?
Oh, yes, I do.
All right, so he's pointing at the broken window.
What is he pointing at?
Sí, haz la contracción.
What's he pointing at?
Yeah, what's he pointing at? What's he pointing at? What's he pointing at? Repeat.
What's he pointing at?
Good. A bottle opener, no, perdona, me salta uno. She is shouting at her husband.
Who is she shouting at?
Okay, gritar siempre es violento. Entonces nunca se dice shout to.
Okay.
Shout at. Okay. All right, yell at. Holler at.
Holler?
Holler.
Okay.
Holler. Don't you know holler?
No, I don't.
Holler is gritar.
Okay.
If you need any help, just holler. ¿No lo has oído nunca?
No, I never.
Dame un shout. Give me a shout. If you need any help, si necesitas cualquier ayuda, dame un grito. O sea, llámame. Hey, I need help. It's a holler.
Okay.
Now, ¿sabes pinto, pinto, gogorito en inglés?
No.
Uh-huh. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo?
Yes.
Catch a tiger by the toe? Come on.
I've heard that.
All right. Okay, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo no significa nada. Es como pinto, pinto, gogorito. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch. Apresa un tigre por el dedo gordo del pie. Catch a tiger by the toe. Down here.
Okay.
Ahora, si grita, hazle pagar $50 al día. Okay, if he hollers, el tigre, cuando le tienes apresado por el dedo gordo del pie, if he hollers, make him pay $50 every day.
That's how it goes.
Y luego dices, my mother told me to pick this one. Es este.
Okay.
My mother, siempre al final, my mother told me to pick this one. Y si realmente en el fondo no quiere este, añado, my mother told me to pick this very one. Y insertas algo para que caiga aquí. But it's always, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by the toe. If it hollers, make it pay $50 every day. My mother told me to pick. No decimos choose, porque pick es más del pueblo llano, que choose es más sofisticadito. My mother told me to pick this one.
Okay.
All right, so holler.
Okay.
And it's very common to holler, to shout, to yell. Yell, no gel. Yell and to holler. But probably the most common is to shout.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to shout is often when you're angry. To yell, también. To yell. But to yell also can be, hey, Pepe, can you bring me the sandwiches? All right, it's yelling. And he says, no tienes que gritar. You don't have to yell. I'm in the next room. Come on, I can hear you even if you speak civilly. All right? Okay, we have 1 or 2 minutes. A bottle opener is for opening bottles.
What is a bottle opener for?
Yeah, a bottle opener is for opening bottles. Yeah. A microphone is for propagating my voice. A cup is for drinking from. Well, it's from, yeah.
Okay.
Una taza es para beber de la misma, okay? Sacando agua de, en este caso. And I'm here to help you.
What are you here for?
Yeah. En este caso digo tú, no for, porque yo no soy una máquina. Estoy aquí con un propósito.
Okay.
Mi propósito es ayudarte. Cuando es propósito, it's to. Cuando es funcionalidad, es for. Un abrelatas es para abrir latas. A can opener is for opening cans, porque es funcionalidad. Ahora, propósito, no. Estoy aquí para ayudarte. I'm here to help you.
Okay.
All right? And I'm here to help you too. But I have to stop helping you for a few minutes because I have orders from the camera people that I have to shut up, okay? And give them an opportunity to say a few things to you that maybe you could be interested in. But I'll be back, okay, in just a few minutes. So stay close to the TV. All right, thank you.